If you want to hear how one forgotten scene from the book makes a little Easter egg appearance in this movie, then stick around to the end of this video. This video is sponsored by Raycon. Welcome to Things You Missed. Today, we continue the Carriethon. Yeah, I'm calling it that now, with yet another remake of Carrie. But this one, while not as subliminal as the original, this is actually pretty good. It makes some improvements and has some of its own secrets, so why don't we explore them? The volleyball game from the novel has been changed to pool volleyball for the remake. I think it makes a lot of sense because the maturity of the female body is a major theme in Carrie, and the swimsuits are just gonna highlight that. Also, putting them in a pool gives more of a reason for the shower scene to exist in order to wash off that chlorine, since in this time period, most kids would just slap on some deodorant after a regular gym class. Miss Desjardins basically looks like Misty from Pokémon in this scene. Misty is a water-type trainer and the gym leader of the Cerulean City Gym, while Ms. D trains her students in the water and is the gym teacher of the Ewan High School gym. Misty is known for nurturing the awkward and misunderstood Psyduck, and Ms. D forms a special bond with Carrie White. When Carrie gets her first period in the shower after class, I noticed this sign in the locker room, which could foreshadow something that happens in the prom scene where the twins slip and fall on the wet floor. I think there's a similar foreshadowing going on with these umbrellas in Sue Snell's house to set up the sprinklers at the prom, and when Carrie uses her mind to break the locker room mirror, which sets up this part and this part. Lately, we've seen a number of Stephen King's novels get adapted for a second time, like Pet Sematary and It, but this movie seems to want us to know that it's just as much of a remake of Brian DePalma's 1976 film than it is a readaptation of the novel. The car that Billy Nolan drives looks the same. The theme of the prom seems to once again be love among the stars as opposed to Springtime in Venice from the novel. Carrie's dress is pink, or at least it starts out that way. Carrie's mother is crucified, and Sue Snell's nightmare at the end is reimagined, and this isn't something that's in the book at all. After recording Carrie's meltdown in the locker room, Chris Hargensen, who is so narcissistic that she has a picture of herself, uploads it to YouTube. And it actually kind of gives me anxiety that the tags and description aren't properly filled out. The girls who bullied Carrie are forced to run sprints, but the rules are a little bit different than in the original.
That's up to all of you, but anyone who stops running is suspended. And if you're suspended, you're not going to prom.
I kind of feel like that's not that effective because the girls who are the most guilty are pretty fit, so continuing to run wouldn't really be that big of a deal for them compared to the others. Anyway, while this is going on, Carrie is excused from gym and picks up some books from the library, one of which is called Telekinesis, Analysis, and Aftermath. In the novel, the story is broken up by excerpts from books, articles, and interviews about the Carrie White incident, and about the telekinesis phenomenon, and this is one of the many publications that is quoted. The poem Carrie reads from in English class is an excerpt from John Milton's 1671 poem, Samson Agonistes. I think that's how you say it. It too hints at the tragic ending of the story with lines like, "From restless thoughts that like a deadly swarm of hornets armed," which connects to the idea of Carrie's thoughts literally being deadly because she can destroy things with her mind, and of both my parents all in flames ascended, which ties into her mother's idea that Carrie was born out of sin, and of course, the fiery ending of the senior prom. One of the things that I mentioned at the beginning is how there are some little improvements in certain areas, like how we're really shown the weight of Sue's decision to miss the prom in this one, the fact that she's been dreaming of it since she was young, how she already has a dress picked out, and how everyone expects her to be there. There are also some creative uses of the telekinesis, like how Carrie uses it to flip the light switch moments before her mother walks in, using it to hold down the foot pedal on the sewing machine without actually using her foot, and perhaps the most lazy one I've ever seen, using it to turn on the radio. It's right there, Carrie. It's literally right there. So Sue asks her boyfriend, Tommy Ross, to take Carrie to the prom, as always. But this time, rather than Tommy being a baseball player, a football phenom, or a track star, he keeps up with the theme of this being set in 2013 and plays lacrosse. Should've gone with Ultimate. Should've gone with Ultimate. However, Carrie's mother does not approve of her attending the prom. Let's roll it.
He's gonna paw at you. He finds where that blood smell comes from. He's gonna take you, Carrie, in his car out to the wilderness, out where it's cold and the roadhouses are and the whiskey.
In the novel, roadhouses and whiskey are one of those things that come up again and again as a symbol of evil in the eyes of Mrs. White. For example, her father was killed in a roadhouse, her husband impregnated her with the smell of roadhouse whiskey on his breath, and at the end of the book, Carrie chases Chris Hargensen and Billy Nolan to a roadhouse called the Cavalier, which, by the way, is represented by an Easter egg in the movie.
A bunch of people were going to the Cavalier after.
The Cavalier is where Chris and Billy sleep sometimes, and where they devise the plan to humiliate Carrie. The movie also shows step one of that plan going into action when Billy and his friends go to the pig farm.
Don't worry, little piggy. Uncle Jackie's gonna bash your head right in.
They just really couldn't help themselves in this franchise, could they?
I'm just gonna bash your brains. I'm gonna bash them right the in.
The day of the prom would soon arrive. Carrie and Tommy hang with Tommy's friend George and his date Erica, who goes to a different school called Dover. It actually works well that she's from another school because she has no reason to think that Carrie is weird at all. That was actually me at the prom. The kid from another school. But if you ask me, Sue Snell is the real weird one in this movie. Her boyfriend is literally the only conversation in her phone. This supposed prom queen favorite seriously only talks to one person? Come on. If you pause the movie as the students are filling out their votes for prom king and queen, there are even more Easter eggs and other things you missed. The prom scene in Carrie is often referred to as the Black Prom. I always find it strange how something so tragic can sound so similar to something so sweet. Like Black Friday, the day where you're gonna be getting incredible deals on Raycon earbuds, using my link in the description. Right now, I've got a pair of Raycon earbuds. I've been using these things all the time. They're already half the cost of other premium wireless earbuds before my discount. They're comfortable, no annoying stems or wires, and they stay in your ear while you're doing stuff. Look at this. What I love about them is that clean, isolated, quality sound that they deliver straight to your ears. Plus, you don't have to worry about battery life. The latest model lasts 6 hours, so you could use them to watch all 3 Carrie movies back to back if you wanted to. Which I may have done. With more bass, a compact design, great color options, and a charging case that extends your battery life to 24 hours, there has never been a better time to pick up some Raycons. Great gift idea. Just click the link in the description to get early access to Raycon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. I can't even tell you how good the deals will be. You have to check them out on the website, buyraycon.com/CZsWorld. There's a lot more than what meets the eye on the prom king and queen ballots. First, we got Frank Greer and Jessica Upshaw. Frank was a football player in the book, and Jessica Upshaw was one of the bullies. George Chismar and Frida Jason. George was the most renowned artist at the school who created the murals displayed at the prom, and Frida is his girlfriend. These write-ins are a joke, Morton and Desjardins. Morton, if you don't remember, is the assistant principal, and Desjardins is the gym teacher. So I imagine this ballot was filled by one of the girls who was punished for bullying Carrie White, and still upset about Morton and Desjardins teaming up to dish out the punishments. Don Farnham and Helen Shires. Don's only mention in the book is that he's dating Helen, and Helen is another one of the bullies. After Tommy Ross and Carrie White, we've got Brian Cranstone and Emma Tamblyn. Brian, not to be confused with the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, gets his name from the on-set carpenter of Carrie. He also worked on It and It Chapter 2, and Emma worked in the costume department. Not sure about Peter Nikolakakos, but Myra Cruz is a minor character in the novel. And finally, Jordan Samuel and Susan Riley Lahane. Jordan was the head of the makeup department, and Susan was the makeup artist for Julianne Moore. This one might be the coolest looking blood spill, although I don't know if I can show it. Carrie force chokes Miss Desjardins, hopefully I can show that, and after destroying the prom, returns home to face her mother. Margaret White's only real hobby seems to be sewing, so I found it kinda cool that Carrie uses that against her by impaling her with her own tools. Wait, where have I seen this before?
Look at this! I took 9 million steps today.
It's nothing more terrifying than that. Finally, Carrie uses her telekinesis to bring down the entire house, but there's one small moment where we actually see what is destroying it. After lifting up her mother, a rock can be seen punching through the ceiling and landing on this dresser. This is a reference to an event from the book known as the Rain of Stones, which is documented in a weekly magazine that tells of the incident that took place when Carrie was a little girl. Accounts from the Whites' neighbors say that one day after Margaret upset her, rocks started to fall from the sky, but only above the Whites' house, and pierced through the roof tiles, while Carrie was having a meltdown. However, the story never really became mainstream because by the time the media showed up, Mrs. White had already had the roof repaired, but all the neighbors swear by what happened. The scene has only been adapted in the 2002 TV movie where the stones look more like meteors. Apparently it was planned to be included in both theatrical movies, but got cut both times, other than this little Easter egg. So now the question becomes, do I do Carrie to the Rage for a future episode of Things You Missed? Let me know in this poll. And whatever you do decide, you're gonna wanna make sure you subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week, ring the death bell for notifications, use the link in the description to buy Raycons, and I'll see you in the next one, assuming we both survive.